So Labo VR comes built in with over 70 games, and both Breath of the Wild and Odyssey will support it. Odyssey having a unique mode and new challenges, and Breath of the Wild simply getting VR support for the full adventure. But that's of course not enough for us. In the past, Labo kits have been compatible with Mario Kart 8, but this one's different. VR isn't just a new control scheme, it can completely evolve these games and offer new experiences and ways to play. So we've looked at existing Switch games and also came up with a few brand new ones that don't exist that we feel work excellently in VR. We've even incorporated some of the Toy-Con into a few of them. So without further ado, here are 7 Nintendo games we want to experience in VR. Game number 1, Link's Crossbow Training VR. Now don't laugh. I think Link's Crossbow Training is one of the most enjoyable Zelda spin-offs, and it allowed us to revisit some of Twilight Princess's most iconic areas from a new perspective. We were either on rails, glued to the floor aiming in all directions, or fully exploring areas as Link with a crossbow. This largely guided experience would lend itself perfectly to virtual reality, but instead of revisiting Twilight Princess, how about we revisit the world of Breath of the Wild? And yeah, this game already supports VR, but this would be a totally different experience. We're not playing the game again, we'll be shooting targets, knocking bokoblins off their horses, or stopping swarms of cuckoos from touching this girl's flower bed. Best of all, we can play with the VR blaster, which is bundled with the basic set. It would be just like the Wii Zapper, though the lack of analog stick would mean these free roaming sections would likely be scrapped, but Breath of the Wild has more than enough iconic areas to explore on rails. And game number 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe VR. Alright, so Mario Kart 8 is no stranger to Labo, with it supporting both the vehicle kit and the bike from the Variety Kit. And it's also no stranger to VR. There's an arcade setup providing exactly that, though it doesn't quite play like a traditional Mario Kart game. But it does play in first person, something Mario Kart 8 doesn't do, but its predecessor, Mario Kart 7, did. Heck, the viewpoint even changes with the other Labo kits, so a switch in perspective wouldn't be unprecedented. Mario Kart 8 VR would be a lot like Breath of the Wild VR, being the same base game, only from a potential new viewpoint. Though it would be very cool to move your head around and see what's going on from all angles, as the standard Mario Kart 8 has a fixed camera. We can just imagine being face to face with an incoming thwomp, or zooming down Shy Guy Falls in all its glory. As for how we'd play it, while it would be cool to mix and match other Labo accessories like the vehicle kit, there's no strap for Labo VR, so we can't really hold anything else. So this would likely be a standard Joy-Con setup only. And the third one, Metroid Prime Trilogy. This game's been long rumoured to be coming to Switch, but of course that's just a rumour for now. But just imagine landing on the Talon overworld, looking up and seeing raindrops fall on your visor. Do I have to say more? Can we move on? No? Fine. Metroid Prime does a lot to escape video gaming elements, as everything in the world is contextualized, even the HUD. Your health bar and missile count are simply an element of your digital visor, and I think seeing all that in a full 3D space would give people a new appreciation for just how distinguished Prime is. That, and imagine segments like Ridley grabbing you in Prime 3. It's already an engrossing game on a standard 2D screen, but seeing it come even further to life would be exhilarating. Though due to all the inputs you need, I'm doubtful that any peripheral would work with Prime, so we'll probably be playing this with a standard Joy-Con. And the fourth game, Pokemon Snap. Yeah, it's the game we all wanted the moment we saw the camera. What's there to say? Keep the on-rails movement of the N64 game and take pictures of a bunch of Pokemon. But there is a lot that's changed since the original Snap. For starters, that game barely had 50 Pokemon, and now with the Pokedex being at 812, there's a lot of different Pokemon to choose from, and they're all fully modelled and ready to go on Switch. This wouldn't even have to be a VR exclusive game, as you could very easily apply the original control scheme, though it would of course make a lot of sense for the Labo VR camera. We've never had an official Pokemon virtual reality game, and this is exactly what we need to get closer to our favourite Pokemon. We could even twist the lens to either zoom in or focus on these creatures. A new Pokemon Snap makes too much sense and it's long overdue, and if any game were made for VR, this is the one. Game number 5, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze VR. Now, this isn't just another excuse to talk about Tropical Freeze, though it certainly is nice. The 3DS version of Returns had a beautiful 3D effect that really made me appreciate the background layers. Despite originally being a Wii game, it looks stunning. And Tropical Freeze is already a far more complex game than Returns visually, and I'd love to witness levels like Grassland Groove, and Windmill Hills, and Jelly Jamboree, and Homecoming Hijinks, and Busted Bayou, and Frantic Fields, and... okay, basically the whole game in VR. But this segment here in High Tide Ride gave me another idea. What if we had a brand new kart level made just for VR? Like really dive into these dynamic angles and throw crazy stuff at us. Heck, maybe even go in first person. We can finally be behind the eyes of DK. Game number 6, an 80s living room. So NES games on Switch are fine. It's always fun to play Mario 3 and the original Zelda, but there's also not much new to them. You know, besides being able to play them online, which is hardly really a factor with these games. But imagine being transported to an 80s living room and seeing these NES games booted up on a virtual CRT display. Now that'd be taking authenticity to the next level. Or instead of a living room, it could be a kid's room with Nintendo Power posters plastered all over the walls. A simple interface like this for playing 2D games has the possibility of becoming the most engrossing VR experience. We would love Nintendo to try something like this. Heck, Sega made a 2D version in their recent Mega Drive collection. And game number 7, Pilotwings VR. A new Pilotwings game seemingly only comes along when there's a major visual breakthrough, like the Super Nintendo's Mode 7, N64's jump into 3D, and the 3DS with stereoscopic 3D. But how about VR though? We got a taste of VR flight with Labo VR's Bird, but imagine an array of different vehicles and how they can handle in virtual reality. Nintendo could even bring Woohoo Island out of retirement for one final test flight. The Labo vehicle kit let us fly around in a plane, but the physics were very video gamey. We want the pure Pilotwings experience but with modern advancements, such as wind and weather conditions. It could even work with an array of different Toy-Con too, whether we're using the bird with a flying squirrel suit, or using the blaster to guide a jet, or even just the standard Joy-Con. There's a ton of control possibilities and potential for a VR Pilotwings game. So what do you guys think about these picks, and do you have any ideas of your own? Do you want to suck up ghosts in Luigi's Mansion 3? Or do you want to be laughed at by the Duck Hunt dog in first person? Let us know in the comments below, and of course be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for a lot more on Labo VR, and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye.